Hey guys, what is up? This is Cody or xCodeh. How's it going today? Hope everybody watching this video is having yourself a snazzy day. Let me know in the comments down below where you're watching the video from, inside or outside of the United States. On today's video, I got a little stoner tips action for you, dude. We're bringing it back to the stoner tips. How to not get ripped off when buying that good kush. The sacred skunk. Really quick before this video starts, I want to thank today's video sponsor. Spring has sprung, and our friends at Manscaped have the best tools for some spring cleaning. They've already helped you tidy up all of your nooks and crannies of your body's basement, but this year Manscaped can help you get the perfect presentation on that beautiful face with the new Beard Hedger Pro Kit. Look your best this spring by using code xCodeh to get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. The Beard Hedger Pro Kit starts off with the Beard Hedger, a waterproof cordless trimmer with a rotary wheel that gives you 20 hair cutting lengths, all with one guard, so no more messy drawers full of add-ons. It also comes with titanium coated T-blades that are tough on your hair but smooth on your face, leading to single stroke efficiency that brings satisfaction one stroke at a time. The Beard Hedger is a high-tech piece of art in a travel-sized package with long-lasting battery, universal charging, and a strong motor. The next kit has the liquid goods to make you feel good, starting with the beard shampoo and conditioner. The hair on your face is different than the hair below your waist, and that's why the kit has a special shampoo and conditioner designed to moisturize, reduce ingrown hairs, and replenish your beard's natural oils and promote beard health. The Pro Kit also has Manscaped's Beard Oil. The nutrient-infused oil relieves dryness both on the beard and the skin beneath, while still adding a little shimmer to liven up the look. Finish it off with the Beard Palm, a pomade that shapes, styles, and moisturizes, bringing the amazing scent of fresh eucalyptus, rosemary, and lavender essential oils. The Beard Hedger Pro Kit also comes with 3 snazzy free gifts: the beard brush, a comb, and some really nice scissors to ensure your beard is ready to impress. Save 20% off and get free shipping with code xCodeh at manscaped.com. Focus on your face and use the Beard Hedger Pro Kit for the cleanest look in the game. Huge thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring a portion of this video. Times have changed a lot since I'd ever been in one of these situations, because a lot of states having dispensaries and stores that you can go and just legally buy it from has kind of negated a lot of this information, but there's a lot of people that don't have that luxury or convenience to just go to the store and get a bag. It's not just that easy for everybody, so I want to look back on my previous experiences and give you guys the information that I had to learn the hard way in a lot of these situations. So the number one tip that I have, tip number 1, know the weight increments of the average bag. The average bag of bud goes from 1 gram, 3.5 grams, 7 grams, 14 grams, up to 28 grams. And anything beyond that, you should probably already know this, but we'll go over the price range and what you should be getting for each of them. Some common words that also describe these increments: 1 gram would be a dub, and that's just from where I grew up. It doesn't really apply to every single person, but if you ask for a dub, it's most likely just going to be a gram. For 3.5, there's a couple different ones. It'd be an eighth, because it's an eighth of an ounce. Or from where I grew up, we used to call it a slice, and I don't think that's a very common one, but an eighth would be a slice. 7 grams, you're up to a quarter ounce, so that's just commonly a quarter. I don't really know any other words than that. 14 grams would be half an ounce, so it'd be a half. 28 grams, this is where there's like a bunch of different words, but the most common one would either be just an ounce or a zip. That's the only two that I would ever use or ever hear growing up. The only other terms that I could really tell you is for like a quarter pound, there'd be a quap, and then a half pound would be a HP or a half P. Then obviously a pound would either be a pound or an LB. Prices for these increments vary from state to state or even country to country, so it's hard for me, especially growing up on the East Coast of the United States, which is notorious for having the most absurd prices because everybody would pay them, and we have the colder winters, so it's not like a place like California where there can be outdoor grows all the time on the West Coast and just an excess of bud all over the place. So, you know, there's a lot of scarcity that I had to go through, and when scarcity happens, especially in any market situation, the prices go up, all right, and people will pay them because there's no other options. Times have changed a lot because of a lot of the dispensaries and stores that have been opening up for the past 5+ years, but even the dispensaries and the shops charge outrageous prices. 1 gram should cost you anywhere from $5 to $10. When I was growing up and going through high school and buying bud, a gram was $20, and that was ridiculous. You should never really be paying that much unless it's like the craziest stuff you've ever seen in your life, or just like 11 out of 10 quality, the craziest bag appeal ever. And we'll get into what a good quality bag looks like later in the video, but 1 gram should cost you around $5 to $10. If you can get it less than that, that's ideal. $5 for a G is not that bad. 3.5 or 1/8 of an ounce should cost anywhere from $20 to $45. Anything more than that, like the 50 to 60 range, that is some plugs prices. And as long as it's like really, really good, I wouldn't say that's the end of the world. 60 is high. Let's just be real. 60, you know, especially when you see that at the dispensary, it's just disappointing, all right? It's really good all the time usually, but it's like, man, you're taxing on me, all right? And a lot of these situations at the dispensary, that's before tax. So you end up paying 70 or 75 on that. But at that $20 to $30 range, the 1/8 is usually, that's usually a good price. At least where I grew up. I know a lot of people watching this, especially from the West Coast and places where there's just tons of people growing, tons of stuff are available. You can get an 1/8 for like 10 or 15 bucks. So I'm not saying that this is the definitive price. This is just what I've gathered is just like the standard price for an 1/8 usually, unless you really know someone that, you know that you got a really good plug. 7 grams should cost anywhere from $60 to $80. Like I said, you can always find it cheaper, but paying anything more than that is, you know, it's never fun. It's never a good time. If you have someone trying to charge you $120 for a quarter for 7 grams, they're hustling, man. They're absolutely hustling. I went through those days myself in high school. And now here's where things get a little bit tricky. 14 grams and 28 grams. The half and the full zip. Those two increments, the price can start varying a lot because that could be considered more of a bulk purchase to your average plug, and that's where you can start getting bulk prices. The 14 grams is kind of like a tricky one for me to go over, but once you get to that 28, the zip, the ounce, that's where you shouldn't really be paying any more than 250 bucks. The range is usually from like 140 to 250 depending on the quality, but anything more than 250, you're getting hustled. Let's just be real. Anything more than that, it's just ridiculous. And if you were to pay $250, that better be some chronic. That better be some top of the line stuff, man. The dispensaries over on the East Coast used to charge $480 for a zip. Now they actually just slash the prices. They're getting with the times, realizing it's not 2010, it's 2023. And they actually just slashed their prices 50%. So I think their zips are now $240. So if you're paying above $250, I feel bad for you. All right, let's just put it that way. And from my experience, anywhere from 1 zip to 2 zips at a time is usually the best amount to purchase. 1 to 2 zips has always been my preferred amount to pick up because by the time you finish it, by the time the jar is empty, it's usually not extremely dry, like you just take a bud and it just turns to powder in your fingers when you're just breaking it up. There are things like humid packs that you can put in the jar to keep it fresher for longer, but from my experience, 1 to 2 zips is usually the best amount to buy at once, just because it usually stays fresh for like the amount of time. And that's really a subjective amount because not everybody's gonna be blazing down a zip in a week, and I don't expect you to. That is a slightly absurd amount, but at the same time, to other people, they go through a zip in 2 days. So listen, I've been there in the backwood days, all right? Smoking a zip in 2 or 3 days. It gets crazy, all right? You got to put like 2 or 3 grams in one of those things. You smoke 3 a day, it gets nuts, all right? It gets crazy. My second tip for you is know that your plug knows when you're inexperienced. If you hit up somebody saying all these noob terms like, oh, I don't know how much to buy, like this is my first time ever doing this. If you start to sound inexperienced, that's like a bright light going off in the distance for them. They're like, oh my God, I'm about to make money today. Let's take advantage of this person's inexperience. So you have to at least ask your friends what to say. That's probably my best advice to you, is ask your friends how to talk to the plug, or just don't say a lot. Just say that you're interested in buying some bud and you want to buy this much for this price. The best thing you can do, especially if you don't know the person, say how much you want to buy and how much you'll pay. Because if you just say, hey man, I want to buy a zip, what are your prices? that opens the door to them saying some outlandish price that's usually higher than what they usually sell it for, with no room for negotiation. This isn't Shark Tank. This is, oh, you don't know what you're doing, and this is the price you're gonna pay, otherwise you're not getting anything. And you also don't want to make it seem like you're inexperienced, because usually the people that will hit up a plug and just be like, hey, I got all this money, I'm trying to buy as much as it gets me, that makes it sound like you're some rich kid that doesn't care about how much they're going to get. It doesn't matter. Like the value of the money doesn't matter. They just want to get bud. And that's when they swoop in to rip you off. My third tip for you, dude. Tip number 3. Be a custie. Just be a customer, and that's it. From my experience, it is always better when you aren't best friends with your plug. And now, not to say you shouldn't be, you know, just a simple friend with your plug. There's nothing wrong with being friendly, because sometimes that can net you a better deal. Sometimes if you know the person, they're like, oh dude, what's up, man? How's it going? I just got this new stuff in. I got you on a good price. Sometimes that can work out, but you don't want to be best friends with the plug ever. Every single time that I would pick up bud, it was just like, here you go, man. Thanks. Have a good day. That's all it was. All right. It wasn't like, hey man, how's it going, dude? How you been? And you get into this long conversation, and then they're like, hey, you wanna blaze? You wanna go for a ride? Because that just opens the door to hours of social interaction that you could have avoided. Not to say you don't want to hang out with friends or anything like that, but sometimes you just don't have the time. All right. And if the plug gets used to that, all right, it gets used to the friendship. So every time you hit them up, you're basically forced into like an hour, 3 hours of hanging out with somebody, when all you want to do is just pick up a bag and go hang out with your friends, or just go home from work and just relax. And also, when you're on that friendship level with the plug, say you get into a disagreement, say you get into an argument. Now this person's flaking your phone calls, not picking up. Say it was your only plug, now you're beat. Now you can't get bud because you freaking said something to him that pissed him off, and now the river is run dry in your pocket. No bag for you. On top of that, most of the time, you can achieve that level of simple friendship by just frequently buying stuff from the one person. Like, that's really all it takes, is just 5-10 times of picking up for them, and then they know you. That's all it is. Just be friendly. How's it going, man? Thanks for the bag. Have a great day. That's all it is. Tip number 4. Know what good quality bud looks and smells like. The power of the internet can show you exactly what good quality bud looks like, but the smell, you're going to have to learn from experience yourself. A couple Google searches, a couple different YouTube videos can show you what crazy looking 10 out of 10 bag appeal bud looks like, the exotics, all of that. You can see it all on Instagram, you can see it on YouTube, Google. Some obvious signs of a bad bag include shades of brown buds. They look real sad. It just looks like the plant was rushed just for profit. Lots of stems, leaves, sometimes seeds in the bag. It just looks sad. Like, if you get a good quality bag and you're looking at it, it just looks like a wonderland of trichomes and just beautiful. The plant itself is really beautiful, and when it's just brown and sad looking, there's an obvious difference between the two of good and bad quality. And lots of the time, plugs will buy lower quality bud and try to sell it to you for a higher quality price. They'll use these hype words like, this is so fire. This is the best stuff I've had in a while. You're gonna love this. That was one of the number one things people would say, dude, you're gonna freaking love this. And then you get there, you give them their money, and it's like, good quality bud has a variety of different smells depending on the terpene profile and also how your nose specifically reacts to the plant. I've had a bag and I was like, wow, that smells so good. And then I gave it to my friend and they're like, dude, that smells weird. Like, everyone's nose is different, but typically the things you're going to want to look for when you're smelling a bag is, there's a couple different like main terp profiles for bud. It could be skunky, fruity, earthy, gassy, and even smell like pine and lemon. And bad quality bud almost always just has this sad vibe to it, this sad smell, like it's been stored in a basement. It was stuffed into little bags and it had been sitting in someone's shoe for a couple days. Generally, it just has this overwhelming plant smell, if that makes any sense to you. It just almost smells like a generic plant with very, very little notes of skunk or anything pleasant. It is a huge difference from when you're buying like a really good quality bag. It just doesn't smell strong. Like you could put it in your backpack and no one can even smell it. This is something that you'll have to learn for yourself, but once you do, it's like night and day. Like you can easily tell the difference between something that's good quality and bad. And I will say, the one tricky part about it is I've had bags that just didn't smell like extra super strong, but still went a long way. Just still got me nice and blasted. It wasn't always like you had to triple bag the bud, stuff it in a sock, and vacuum seal it to be able to just get good quality stuff. It was just sometimes when the bud is super fresh, it is just smelling outrageous. Just absolutely outrageous. Almost borderlining offensive. Like you're walking around smelling like Wiz Khalifa. Tip number 5, which is probably the most important one if you're trying to get a good deal: know a grower, which is also the best situation possible, but also one of the trickiest situations to get yourself in. Because growers typically are really discreet. They don't just talk to everybody about it, because then they run the risk of someone breaking into their house and stealing from them, or a lot of situations it's very illegal to grow weed. And they don't want to get arrested, obviously, because they don't want the cops raiding their house or something and finding their grow. And as long as you could find someone that grows and actually cares enough not just to make profit, and they care about actually growing something of quality, this is the best situation you could have. The reason it's the best situation is because people who grow often have a lot. They often are left with a huge bulk, and they'll give you a really good deal, usually. A way better price than the jabronis flipping quarter pounds in your hometown or something, because they only have 4 zips when the person who's growing has just a stockpile of bud that they'd gladly get rid of at a much lower price. On top of that, when you find someone who grows, it's usually a lot more fresh. It hasn't been bagged up, touched by 15 different people down the supply chain before it gets into your hands, so it usually has a much prettier look to it. It's not like all compressed and been in a bunch of different plastic bags and transferred from this bag to the other bag to this person to this person. It's almost just like money. You get a fresh dollar bill from the bank account, or you get a $20 bill that had been touched by 5,000 people. It looks a little crumpled, it's real grimy, you never know what it's been doing, never know where it's been. So it's definitely harder to find somebody who does this, because obviously they're discreet, because a lot of situations it's very illegal. But if you can find yourself in that situation, there is no better way to get bud. There is just no better way. Tip number 6, try to realize when someone is trying to rob you. Now this one it's almost like getting scammed in RuneScape for the first time. You kind of just got to experience it for yourself firsthand to really understand, to really get it, to really learn from the experience, so you can, from that point on, never put yourself in that situation again. It's tough. It really is tough to know. If your plug is acting sketchy, especially one of the first times you ever pick up from them, like say you buy an 1/8 from them, and then the next time they're like, hey dude, I got really good stuff. You want to buy 3 ounces? You want to buy 5 ounces? And you're just like, well, I usually don't pick up that much, but he's giving me a really good price and he says it's really good. It's a big red flag. Big red flag. So especially when you're buying from somebody for the first couple times, I'd probably suggest to buy a lower amount to, number one, understand the quality that they're going to be offering, not just from one time, because the first time you pick up, they're probably going to give you something that's, relatively good, so that you want to come back, so you're a repeat customer. So buying little amounts, like, anywhere from 3 to 5 times or something, can really just show you the general quality that they're going to offer, because usually by the 5th time or something, they're going to at least run out of the one kind of bud they had the first couple times. They're going to re-up and get more of something else, or maybe even more of what they had before. You're going to understand what kind of stuff that they have in a more long-term situation. Because I couldn't tell you how many times that I was picking up that for like a couple times in a row, it would just be phenomenal. It would just be so good. And then the next time I pick him up, he's just like, yeah, dude, this stuff isn't as good as last time, but it's still really good with the same price. Wouldn't lower the price or anything. And I'd pick it up and it just looked sad. It just wasn't anything like before. So you got to be careful with the switcheroo. All right, that's what I like to call that, the good old switcheroo. The most common way that I would see people get robbed, and even myself getting robbed in this situation, is the classic, I just got to go around the corner to get it. And you're just sitting there like a bozo waiting for the plug to come back to that spot, and he never will. In almost 100% of all scenarios, when the plug is just like, hey man, just give me the money, I gotta go and pick it up, I'll be right back. He won't be right back. You lost that money, buddy. You're just sitting there twiddling your thumbs. 20 minutes goes by, you call him, doesn't answer. 30 minutes goes by, doesn't answer. An hour and a half goes by, admitting defeat. That's just how it is. Sometimes you got to go through that once to really understand, you know, the way that they're talking to you, the way that they're like, you know, they got a half grin on their face. They're scheming, dude. They got this idea that they got this, I'm about to steal this kid's money type of vibe on their face. You got to see it in person to believe it, you know? You got to see it in person to experience it and learn from it. Just like you don't follow somebody into the wilderness in RuneScape. They're not making a music video. They're stealing your bank. My last bit of advice for you is, from my experience, it's almost always better to find a plug that's good friends with one of your friends, because they already have a friendship and the plug will be more comfortable giving you a quality deal. That is probably the best bit of advice I could give you, is ask friends. If you're trying to find bud, you just ask a friend where they get theirs from. Like, how's the quality? What are the prices? And figure it out from there. And I know that's not an option for everybody. Not everybody already has a friend that knows somebody. So it can be tough to really find somebody. But this video isn't exactly about finding a plug. It's just about trying to get a good quality bag and not get ripped off. I guess probably the most important parts of this was to just know the increments, know the average pricing, and know what good quality bud looks like. That's really just what it comes down to. Like I said, the prices that I said aren't definitive. I know they vary vastly between state to state, from country to country. I know there's some places in this world you can't find a good price on anything, and the bud is just disgusting looking, and I'm sorry to hear that. Listen, that just sucks. Hopefully some of this information can help some of you guys out. If you guys have any more stoner tip videos that you'd like me to make, let me know the topic in the comments down below, and I'll be happy to make it. I know that this video doesn't apply to everybody, because a lot of states in the United States you can just go to the store, and I know that there's places like Michigan in specific where their dispensary prices are low. You can get 10 carts for like 120 bucks. That's crazy. 10 1-gram carts for 120 bucks. When over on the East Coast, some carts can be $105 for 1 gram, one of them. So listen, the prices vary. And so I just want to say again, the prices that I said for the increments are not definitive. You're going to want to ask your friends what they're paying, but you don't want to leave the price up to the plug. You want to find out the prices the best you can before you even hit up the plug. That is my best advice to you. Before this video ends, I want to say a huge thank you to everybody supporting me on Patreon. For $1 or $2 a month, you can support the channel and get access to the 160 plus unlisted blazing videos I have over on Patreon. I have a lot of fun making those videos, and I appreciate everybody on screen right now for your support. It really helps me out. If you guys are interested, there'll be a link in the description for more information. Getting ripped off when buying a bag is terrible. Just terrible. You're sitting there waiting for hours, and then he finally shows up, and then he drives off real quick. You look down and you just see sadness. You just see just a brown bag, seeds everywhere. The number one thing, I guess, would be to not be afraid to just look at the bag, be like, nah, this isn't what I want. Let me get my money back, or I don't want to buy this. Which is a really tough situation. It's a tough spot, especially if it's a friend's plug, because you don't want to ruin their relationship with the plug, their friendship with the plug. So because they drove all the way out there, and like, you know, it's their inconvenience if they don't make the money and then they have to drive back, especially with gas prices how they are. So you're in that tough situation where you feel inclined to buy it, even if the quality isn't what you want. And sometimes it just happens so fast. Sometimes it's just that quick interaction. You can't really see through the bag. You're like, all right, here you go, man. See you later. Peace. And then it's just your beat, you know? So listen, sometimes that's why I said the first couple times you cop from a plug, you don't want to buy a huge amount. You don't want to buy an ounce and not really know the person, know what kind of quality they have, because at the end of the day, that's a lot of money, and you don't want to be a jabroni. You don't want to be jammed up. You don't want to be ripped off. If you have any more information to help out people watching this video, throw it down in the comments down below. If you agree or disagree with anything I said in this video, feel free to leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I read all the comments. Listen, I really enjoy reading your comments as much as everybody doesn't believe that I do, but I definitely read all of them. I can't reply to every single one because that would just take me hours and hours, but I go through every single video and I read all the comments, so leave me a comment. Leave a like on the video if you guys enjoyed, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Stay high, stay lifted, and stay snazzy.